My name is Danielle Cooper. I'm 27 years old, and I never thought I'd have to fight for a place in my own family. My dad remarried 6 years ago. From the outside, it looked like a fresh start, a second chance at happiness. But from day one, I knew something felt off. My stepmother, Linda, arrived with a smile so polished it almost hurt to look at. She hugged me the first time we met. "Oh, Danielle, I've heard so much about you," she said sweetly. "I'm just so excited to finally be part of this family." It sounded rehearsed. She had a son, Tyler. He's 22 now. Back then, he was just this quiet teenager trailing behind her, headphones always on, barely making eye contact. At first, Linda was overly kind. Compliments, praise. "You're so accomplished. Your dad is so proud." It felt performative, but I ignored it. I wanted peace. But the second the wedding was over, something shifted. I didn't live at my dad's house full-time anymore. I had my own apartment across town. Still, I had my childhood bedroom there, a place that felt like home. Linda started making comments. "Your dad really needs to focus on this new chapter. Don't you think it's time to be more independent?" The words were light. The meaning wasn't. Then came the first real sign I wasn't welcome. When I officially moved out, I left behind boxes of childhood memories, trophies, journals, books, photo albums. One afternoon, I came by to grab something and found everything stuffed into black garbage bags in the basement. Not neatly boxed. Garbage bags. The basement had a leak. Some of my things were ruined. Water stains, mold creeping into pages. I stood there staring at them, my chest tight. "Why would you move my stuff?" I asked. Linda shrugged like it was nothing. "Tyler needed the room. It's not like you live here anymore." I looked at my dad. He avoided my eyes. "Let's not argue about this," he muttered. That hurt more than the ruined trophies. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just packed what I could salvage and left. But something cracked that day. About a year later, I found out Dad had quietly saved a small wedding fund for me over the years. It wasn't huge, but it meant something. Linda found out too. Suddenly, it became a fairness issue. "It's not right that Tyler doesn't get the same opportunity," she told my dad. "The money should be split." Tyler didn't even have a girlfriend. When I refused, she looked at me like I'd insulted her personally. "You're being selfish, Danielle. He deserves a chance too." I kept my voice steady. "It's not your fun to redistribute, and it's not my job to balance your son's life." For weeks after that, she made comments whenever I visited. "Must be nice to have everything handed to you. Some people care about family more than money." Dad stayed silent. He always stayed silent. Looking back, I should have realized then, this was never about fairness. It was about control. Which brings me to last week. Dad invited me over for dinner. "Just a normal family night," he said. When I arrived, Linda was glowing, too friendly, too attentive. She kept talking about how hard things are for young people these days, how lucky I was, how well I was doing. Her smile didn't reach her eyes, and I had this sinking feeling in my stomach, because whenever Linda was that nice, it meant she wanted something. Dinner felt staged. The table was set like it was a holiday. Candles, matching napkins, even a dessert already plated in the kitchen like she expected applause for existing. Linda kept refilling my glass, laughing a little too loudly at my dad's boring jokes, acting like we were some perfect blended family in a commercial. Tyler barely spoke. He shoveled food into his mouth without looking at anyone. I tried to relax, I really did, but Linda kept circling the same topic like a shark that smelled blood. "How's work going, Danielle?" she asked, eyes bright. "Fine," I said, "busy." "That's wonderful. You always have been so driven." She leaned back in her chair and sighed dramatically. "It's hard out there for young people these days. Everything costs so much. Rent, groceries, even breathing feels expensive." I nodded politely. My dad watched me like he was nervous I'd say something wrong. Then Linda tilted her head, the sweetness tightening into something sharper. "You know," she said casually, "Tyler has been struggling a lot lately." Tyler's fork paused midair. Linda continued anyway. "He's trying so hard, really, but he just doesn't have the resources." I felt it, that shift, like the air in the room changed temperature. "And you," she added, turning toward me, with that smile that always felt like it had teeth. "You're doing so well. You have so much stability." My fingers tightened around my fork. Dad cleared his throat. "Linda—" "Oh, just let me finish," she said, waving him off like he was furniture. Then she looked back at me. "I noticed you have that car sitting in your driveway most of the time." I blinked. "What?" "It would be amazing if you could let Tyler use it," she said brightly. "It would really help him get to work and school." For a second, I genuinely thought I misheard her. "Wait," I said slowly. "Are you asking me to give him my car?" Linda smiled like I was adorable for being confused. Not give it permanently, just let him borrow it. How long? She didn't even hesitate. Indefinitely. I stared at her. Linda, I said, voice flat now, that's not borrowing, that's taking. Her smile wavered for the first time. Danielle, don't be dramatic. I set my fork down carefully, like I was handling something fragile that might break if I moved too fast. I paid for that car myself, I said. I worked hard for it. I need it. Linda's eyes narrowed. But you work from home most of the time. You don't really need it like Tyler does. I felt my face heat up. That's not happening, I said. Her smile vanished completely. Oh, come on, she snapped, her tone suddenly sharp. You're being selfish. There it was. The mask off. The real Linda. What kind of sister are you? She demanded, loud enough that my dad flinched. Tyler is trying to get ahead, and you have so much already. It wouldn't kill you to share. Tyler muttered under his breath, almost embarrassed. I didn't even ask for this. Linda ignored him like he hadn't spoken. I took a slow breath. What's selfish is expecting me to give up something I worked for because your son doesn't feel like earning it himself. He's young. He doesn't even have his driver's license yet, I cut in. So how exactly is he going to drive my car? Linda's mouth opened, then closed, like she hadn't expected me to have facts ready. Tyler's cheeks flushed. He pushed his plate away. Linda turned sharply to my dad, eyes wide in offended disbelief. Are you really going to let her talk to me like that? My dad shifted in his seat. He looked exhausted, like he'd been living inside this tension for years and didn't remember what quiet felt like. And then, shockingly, he said, She's right. Linda froze. It's her car, he continued, voice shaky but firm. She has no obligation to give it to anyone. You need to drop this. For a second, Linda stared at him like he'd slapped her. Then she shoved her chair back so hard it scraped the floor. Unbelievable, she hissed. She's tearing this family apart. And she stormed out of the room, muttering loud enough for us to hear every word. Ungrateful. Selfish. After everything we've done. Tyler stood up awkwardly, eyes darting between me and my dad. I'm gonna go, he mumbled, and disappeared down the hallway. The silence that followed felt heavy, like smoke after a fire. I looked at my dad. You backed me up. He rubbed his forehead. She's been pushing this for weeks. Weeks. So this was planned? I said quietly. He didn't deny it. I didn't know how to bring it up without starting a fight. I let out a short laugh, not amused at all. Dad, she started the fight the moment she decided my things were hers to hand out. He sighed. I know. And for the first time in a long time, he actually looked ashamed. I leaned forward. You need to start standing up to her, because this is getting out of control. He nodded slowly. You're right. But he didn't say anything else. And I realized something then. My father's rare moments of courage always came with a cost. Because Linda wasn't the kind of woman who let someone challenge her without making them pay. I left that night with my hands trembling on the steering wheel. By the time I got home, I already had 2 missed calls. From Linda. I didn't answer. Then the voicemail started. At first, she tried sweet again. Danielle, honey, you misunderstood me. Then she switched. You're tearing this family apart. I hope you're happy making Tyler feel worthless. Then she went full venom. If you can't do this one simple thing for family, maybe you don't deserve to be part of it. I stared at my phone, my stomach twisting. I blocked her number, and I texted my dad one sentence. I'm not engaging with her until she apologizes. I knew what his response would be before he even sent it. A sigh in text form. I understand. But Linda wasn't the kind of person who backed off just because she couldn't reach me. 2 weeks later, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. And the second I heard her voice, my blood went cold. Danielle, Linda said, like we were old friends. Thank God. We're in a temporary financial crunch. The moment I heard her voice, I almost hung up. But I didn't. I wanted to hear the audacity with my own ears. We're in a temporary financial crunch, Linda repeated, her tone softer than it had any right to be, and I was hoping you could help. I leaned back against my kitchen counter. Help with what? There was a small pause, just long enough for me to know she was calculating how much to reveal. Well, she began, Tyler is finally scheduling his driving test, and he needs some new clothes for interviews, and we found a reliable used car that would be perfect for him. We just need a small down payment. A small down payment. I almost laughed. And you want that from me? You're doing so well financially, she said quickly. It's not like you'd even notice it's gone. We'd pay you back. The lie hung between us. My emergency fund wasn't a secret. I had mentioned it casually months ago when Dad asked about my savings goals. Somehow, Linda had absorbed that information like it was community property. My emergency savings, I said slowly, are for emergencies. Mine, not Tyler's life upgrades. Her voice sharpened instantly. You're being dramatic. This is family. No, I replied. This is poor planning. Silence. Then she exploded. You are so selfish, Danielle. After everything your father has done for you, this is how you repay us? There it was again. That narrative that I owed them. I didn't argue. I simply hung up. And blocked that number too. I thought that would be the end of it. I underestimated them. A week later, I got a text from Tyler. Not a hey, not a can we talk. Just, I'll be moving into your place tomorrow. We can figure out the rent situation later. I stared at the screen, convinced this was some kind of joke. I called him immediately. What do you mean you're moving in? He sounded stressed. I just need a break from Mom. It's toxic. You have space. Tyler, I said carefully, are you planning to pay rent? There was a pause. Well, I figured I could help with chores for now, until I get on my feet. I closed my eyes. My apartment is not available, I said flatly. You're seriously going to turn me away? He snapped, frustration leaking through. I'm drowning over here. I'm not your escape plan, I replied. If you're stressed, talk to your mom, or find a roommate. You're abandoning me, he said, voice tight. No, I was refusing to be used. I'm not in a position to take on a roommate, I said. You need to figure out your own plan. He hung up on me. For a few minutes, I actually felt guilty. Then I remembered the garbage bags in the basement, the wedding fund, the car, the emergency savings. Guilt is powerful, but it doesn't mean you're wrong. A few months passed quietly, too quietly, which should have been my warning. Then December rolled around, and I started getting texts from cousins. Can't wait for Christmas at your place. What time should we come? I frowned at my phone. Christmas at my place? I hadn't agreed to anything. I called my dad. There was hesitation in his voice before he answered. Oh, you didn't hear? Hear what? Linda told everyone you're hosting Christmas this year. I went very still. She what? She said you have the most space, and that it would be easier for you. I could almost hear Linda's voice in my head. Family is about sacrifice. I didn't even bother calling her. Instead, I opened the family group chat, and I typed, Hi everyone. Just to clarify, I did not agree to host Christmas this year, and I won't be available for any holiday gatherings at my apartment. If there's confusion, please check with Linda about why plans were made on my behalf without my consent. I hit send and waited. The responses came fast. What? She told us you offered. Danielle, are you sure? Then Linda chimed in. Oh goodness, this must be a misunderstanding. No one bought it. For the first time, people started questioning her openly. Why would you volunteer Danielle without asking? Why didn't you confirm? I didn't engage further. I didn't need to. The damage was done. At a barbecue later that month, one of my cousins pulled me aside. Linda told us you wouldn't let Tyler use your fancy sports car you never drive, he said. She made it sound like you were hoarding wealth and didn't care about family. I almost laughed. It's a 3-year-old sedan, I said, and he doesn't even have a license. His eyes widened. That's not what she said. Exactly. That was her pattern. Every time I set a boundary, she rewrote the story. But slowly, people were starting to see it. And just when I thought maybe she'd finally learn to stop pushing, I got promoted. A solid raise, a new title. I was proud of myself. I told my dad over dinner one evening. He congratulated me warmly. Linda said nothing at the time, but 3 days later my phone rang. Her name flashed on the screen from yet another number. I should have ignored it, but curiosity got the better of me. I answered. Her voice was sugary sweet again. Danielle, I heard about your promotion. I'm so proud of you. I didn't respond. She continued. You know, this could really be a life-changing moment for Tyler, too. My stomach dropped, because I already knew. Another ask was coming, and this one felt bigger. I didn't bother pretending. What do you want, Linda? A tiny exhale on the other end. Then, there's this coding boot camp, she said brightly. It's intensive, expensive, but life-changing. Tyler just needs someone to believe in him. There it was. Not a question. A setup. And you think that someone is me? I asked. Well, she said carefully, you just got promoted. You're clearly thriving. It would mean so much if you help cover the tuition. I leaned back on my couch and stared at the ceiling. How much? She told me. It wasn't a small favor. It was thousands of dollars. You can afford it, she rushed to add. And imagine how amazing it would be to say you helped launch his career. I felt something shift inside me. Not anger. Clarity. I'm not a bank, I said calmly, and I'm done financing his potential. Her sweetness cracked instantly. So that's it? She snapped. You just don't care if he succeeds? If he wants it, I replied, he can take out a loan, or save up, or apply for scholarships, like everyone else. You are unbelievable, she hissed. You have everything handed to you, and you can't even extend a hand to your own brother. Stepbrother, a technical label that had never felt like family. I built what I have, I said quietly. No one handed me anything. That's when she lost control. "You're tearing this family apart," she shouted. "Tyler will never forget how you abandoned him." I stayed silent, and then she said it. "Maybe your father would be better off without such a selfish daughter." The words landed like a slap. For a split second, I was 12 years old again, wanting approval, wanting to belong. Then something hardened. "You know what?" I said, my voice steady. "Maybe you're right." She paused, thrown off. "Because ever since you showed up, all you've done is try to milk this family for whatever you can get. And I'm done being your scapegoat." "How dare you?" "Lose my number," I said, and I hung up. This time I didn't just block her. I deleted every contact variation she'd ever used. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from adrenaline, from finally saying the thing I'd been swallowing for 6 years. Dad called the next day. His voice was heavy. "She's upset." "I'm sure she is." "She says you insulted her." "I set a boundary," I corrected. "There's a difference." He was quiet for a long moment. "She shouldn't have said that," he admitted finally. "No," I said, "she shouldn't have." Another pause. "I'm caught in the middle here," he said softly, and that hurt more than Linda's words ever could. "You're not in the middle," I replied. "You're choosing to stand next to her while she pushes me." Silence. "I need you to decide something, Dad," I continued. "Are you going to keep enabling her behavior, or are you going to stand up for what's right?" He didn't answer immediately, and that told me everything. Since then, I haven't spoken to Linda. I don't plan to. Tyler hasn't reached out either. Part of me wonders if he ever really wanted those things, or if he just got used to letting his mom fight his battles. My relationship with my dad is complicated now. We still talk, carefully, like we're navigating a minefield. He tries to keep the peace. But peace built on silence isn't peace. It's surrender. Looking back, I used to think setting boundaries meant being cold, selfish, unloving. But I've learned something important. Entitlement doesn't shrink when you feed it. It grows. Every time I gave an inch, Linda took a mile. The car, the savings, the apartment, Christmas, the boot camp. It was never about one favor. It was about testing how much of me she could take before I disappeared. Well, I didn't disappear. I stood up. And if that makes me the villain in her version of the story, so be it. Because I'd rather be the selfish daughter who protects her peace than the obedient one who loses herself trying to buy love that was never unconditional.